Hey, it's Diane here. How are you today? If you're a replay viewer, would you type in replay and where you're, and if you're logging in right now, would you let me know where you are logging in from? I love to watch, or I love to thank my replay viewers, right? I love my replay viewers, so please let me know where you're coming from. So today I'm going to talk about something that is a real big source of confusion, and there's a lot of emotions around it. So I'm going to hopefully give you a new perspective, okay? I want you to be able to get to the root of this question that a lot of people have right now around keto diets. What is it? Is it safe? So many people are confused around it. Okay, so I can't even get continuing medical education to learn more about the safety of it. Okay, that kind of gives you an idea of why there's so much confusion, because the information's not all out yet, okay? So I am Diane Thompson. I'm a registered dietitian and healthy living coach, and I love helping women create the best health possible so they can live a life of possibilities, not a life of limitations. Okay, that's who I am. So, and I like to make things simple, okay? I don't want people to be confused. I like to take things back to the foundations. Okay, so hopefully I'm going to be able to do that for you today. So there's no question in the United States of America, and not just the United States of America, but other countries in the world, that we are facing an epidemic, right, around weight and health in general. There's no question. 75% of Americans are struggling with being overweight or obese. Okay, so it's a pretty serious thing, and many people are looking for solutions, right? And so shouldn't they be? So, but is keto the best solution? So we're going to review, we're going to look at what is keto, right? It's a little confusing. What the heck is it? And there's 3 different keto diets according to one guy, and I mean, there's so many variations. So we're going to look at kind of the umbrella of what it is. Okay, so really what it is it's a moderate protein, high fat, very low carb diet. Okay, and when you eat that way, it's kind of hard to get that that balance. Okay, so it's very complicated, very difficult thing to be able to do. But when you do it, you get into a state called ketosis, where your body creates ketones and uses that as a source of energy because you've removed the carbohydrates, right? Or a lot of the carbohydrates. And guess what? Your brain predominantly likes to function off of carbohydrates. Okay, so all of a sudden you're taking that away. So there is a transition phase in there, and there's some side effects. Okay, I call them real side effects: fatigue, mineral deficiencies. So then you get something called keto flu, and if you're an athlete, it becomes very difficult to exercise, especially in the transitional phase, okay? So like I said earlier, it's very strict and it's hard to follow for most people. In fact, a lot of people are not able to do it. But if you are, guess what? The results are quick and it's pretty motivational. So, and the mechanism of that is that your blood sugar drops and you start using up body fat, and that's why you lose some body fat. Okay, but here's one of the things for me as a dietitian is that you eliminate a whole food group, pretty much the grains. Okay, so it's a little bit of a reality check for me. So let's look at some considerations, some questions to ask yourself if you're thinking about doing a keto diet. What are some of the questions to consider? Okay, first one is eating more protein really healthier, and what's the evidence that it is. Okay, so let's consider some things. Now, if you haven't watched any of the videos that I've done previously around how we're slaughtering beef and what we're feeding them and all of those kinds of things, go back and listen to that. There's one on chicken and there's one on beef. Okay, so now one of the things about our way of producing beef in this country is that we give them antibiotics and hormones. So that isn't a good thing. I think a lot of people realize that antibiotics in our meat's not healthy. And then even fish, you know, a lot of people say, well, eat fish then. Well, fish, especially bigger fish, has high levels of mercury. Okay, and that's not a good thing at all. So, and here's one of the things that really caught my attention as a dietitian, and that's a book called The China Study. If you have never read the book, I would suggest reading it. But it's a book that was very controversial, still is, but there's some research in there that'll rock your world. It rocked my world. It made me start to look at, because I was a big meat eater. Every day we had meat, and sometimes twice a day, and it made me rethink that. Okay, because what they pointed out was that the 15 major causes of death in the United States is made, those are lowered significantly when you eat a plant-based diet. 15 of the top illnesses and diseases in the United States go down. The risk for those things go down when you eat more plants. I don't know, what does that say to you? It says to me, eat more plants, not more protein. Okay, so anyway, it's something to really be aware of, right? So things like cancer and heart disease, autoimmunity, all of those things. Now, here's another real big point in my opinion, my humble opinion. It is humble. It really is humble, because I've realized, being a nutritionist for over 30 years, that you got to be open to new evidence all the time, because we don't have all the answers. Okay, so in my humble opinion, I like to look. I have looked at something called the blue zones. If you've never heard of the blue zones, would you type in blue zones in the comments section? I know, Jean, you're right. So many people are. Yay, Sarah. Yes. I know a lot of people are going to be offended by this. Some comments in groups, and let me tell you, it's been interesting. So, I can tell you more about some of that, because there's something about eating meat, and we'll go back to that after I talk to the blue zone. The blue zones are areas and cultures in the world that live really long, healthy lives, not in nursing homes. They're living long, healthy lives. How cool is that? Now, isn't that your goal? I know, if it's your goal, put long, healthy life in the comments section, because that would be me. And I think most of us want to live a long, healthy life, to be here for our kids, our grandkids, our spouses, all of those things, right? So these blue zones are eating very little meat. They're eating lots of plants. So what does that say to you? Because you can have a lot of conversation around, yes, people lose weight following a keto diet, but are we going to, over the long haul, how good is it going to be? Now, here's another point to consider, and that is we have a lot of kidney disease in the United States, right? And protein is very tough on your kidneys. So that's another thing to consider. So if you have a family history of kidney disease, something to think about. Diabetics, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So just some things I want you to consider in making your decisions, okay? So, and then here's another thing. Anytime you restrict or eliminate almost a food group, that brings up some red flags for me. Okay, Doesn't it bring up a red flag? Because somehow we've demonized grains in this country, right? They're bad. Wheat is bad. And I'm not going to say that all wheat is good. In fact, the hybridized wheats that we're using today, I believe we need to make some changes. And that's where I did a video on that a couple of days ago around einkorn wheat, which is non-hybridized. Okay. But and a lot of people who can't eat regular wheat can eat that. So that gives me some indication that it's a good food, right? So there's so many good grains, things like, and a lot of things, some of these Americans have hardly even used. Amaranth, quinoa, right? Quinoa. Oh my gosh, there's lots of different kinds. There's white, there's red, there's black. Barley, buckwheat. Buckwheat is delicious, makes a great cereal, great pancakes. Farro, spelt, oats. Okay, so demonizing grains is not the answer, in my opinion, and avoiding them altogether. And anytime you avoid a whole food group, you're going to lose some of the nutritional qualities. Well, one of the big things, does anybody know? If you know what the biggest thing is from grains, is fiber. And guess what? We have a really high incidence of colon cancer in the United States, and fiber is at the root of that. Okay, so that's another question. Now, the other question is, because there's so many unknowns with the keto diet, are there other ways of losing weight that are very effective? There are, and I use one of those in my practice. It's very effective. And it relies on healthy living. So lifestyle change, which is what really needs to happen to keep the weight off long term. Because one of the other things about keto diets is if you go back to, give up the keto diet and go back to eating the way you were before, the weight comes back on. And there's a lot of water loss. I'm not even going to get into all of that stuff. But, the one thing we know that works long term is lifestyle change. And that is something that I do. Okay, as I work with people to change their lifestyle in addition to doing a simple nutrition plan. So, and then if you have health issues, you definitely want to check with your doctor. So if you have high blood pressure, for instance, or if you have things like, you're diabetic, you're on medications, you definitely want to check with your your doctor before ever making that kind of a drastic food change. Okay, so definitely consult with your medical professional, whether that's a naturopath, holistic practitioner, MD, whatever it is, because in my opinion, it's a pretty drastic change in diet. Most people are saying it should only be used for short periods of time. Some people saying women should really only do it for very short periods of time. Okay, so be aware of that. So in conclusion, I would say, I understand the frustration of wanting to lose weight, and all that happens with that joint pain and, just being uncomfortable, not sleeping well in some cases, all of that kind of stuff, low energy. I get it. I lost 30 pounds and I've kept it off for 30 years. So I understand the frustration of that. But here's what I can say, and I know without a doubt, because I have many clients, many clients who have lost weight and have kept it off for a long time using the strategies that I use, because it relies on lifestyle change. Okay, so the other thing about keto to be aware of, it's a diet, and there's a lot more to health than just a diet. So there's sleep, hydration, all of those kinds of things. So there's more to health. So only because you get leaner doesn't mean you're getting healthier. Okay, remember that piece. So I am offering right now a free well-being evaluation, or I call it my lifestyle assessment, for anybody who really is like, I am so struggling, and you're kind of stuck and you really want to know what's that big obstacle that's in your way. So just click, put yes in the comments section, and I'll get in touch with you. I'm happy to do that for you so you can identify, your next steps and why you're being stuck. So I hope this has been great information for you. I will be back tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Bye.